and welcome to Bernadette's Way. Today I'm going to be making pizza dough. I'm using a recipe from Sugar Spun Run by Sam. And now for the ingredients to make pizza dough. The ingredients to start your pizza dough is active dry yeast, and you follow directions on the back of the packet to activate your yeast. You are going to want sugar for in the dough and to feed your yeast, warm water, flour, salt, a spray, oil spray. I'm using olive oil. You can use vegetable oil or olive oil. Some optional ingredients are garlic, fresh garlic, or like the recipe suggests, powdered garlic, dried herbs, like I will use, oregano, and sometimes, if my plant lets me, I put in basil. But there just isn't enough, so I'm not going to be using it for this recipe. Maybe next time. Let's get started making pizza dough. To start the recipe, you will need to proof the yeast. In the video, I am trying to use 1 bowl, but it is easier for you to use 2 to 3 bowls. Go right ahead. Take 1 packet of active dry yeast. I am using Fleischmann's active dry yeast, and I use the recipe on the back of the packet. I add in 1 teaspoon of white sugar to feed the yeast, then 1/4 cup of warm water is added to the bowl to start the proofing process by dissolving the yeast. The process can take up to 5 minutes or until the yeast starts to foam. In the meantime, I prepare my added ingredients. This will be any optional ingredients to my dough. The recipe mentions garlic powder or dry basil leaves. I cut 2 large cloves or 4 small cloves of fresh garlic, and sometimes I cut up about a teaspoon of fresh basil. The garlic is diced up. I add in about half a teaspoon of dried oregano. Once my yeast is ready, I add in all my other ingredients. I will start with half a cup of warm water to the yeast. This is a total of 3/4 cups of warm water like the recipe calls for. Then I add in half a teaspoon of white sugar to complete the total 1.5 teaspoons of sugar as stated in the recipe. The recipe recommends adding 1 cup at a time of flour and a 1/3 cup added if needed. I always add in 2 cups of all-purpose flour and leave out the 1/3 cup, and the dough comes out great. Next is 3/4 teaspoon of salt. I mix the salt and the flour together a bit before I add in any other ingredients. Then I add in 2 tablespoons of oil. As stated, I use the vegetable oil. Lastly is any dry or fresh ingredients, like the oregano and the fresh garlic. Then mix all the ingredients together. I do my best to clean the bowl, so I use only 1 bowl instead of 3. 1 for the yeast, 1 for mixing, and a fresh bowl to proof the yeast. Whichever system works for you in your kitchen. Anyhow, once the dough is formed into a nice ball, you need to spray the bowl and the dough. Don't forget the bottom of the bowl. I use olive oil spray. Then cover the dough and place it in a warm area for 30 minutes. About 10 minutes before your dough is ready, preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Once your dough is ready, knead it 3 to 5 times, not minutes. Then roll out your dough or push it out with your hands to the size of your pan using the least amount of flour as possible. I'm using a rectangular pan about 13 inches by 9 inches with holes to make my crust crunchier. I roll my dough out about 1 inch to 1.5 inches more than the pan because I want to form a crust. It was not easy to roll with my tripod in the way, so I apologize for my camera moving every so often. I still managed to push the corner to the size I wanted. Spray your pan before placing your dough on the pan. Place your dough on the sprayed pan. Then form your crust by folding it over and pinching the dough together. Poke holes in the dough with a fork, but not the crust you just formed. Then once your dough is ready on the pan, spray the dough. I bake the crust by itself for 8 to 10 minutes at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a very light brown as I show further in the video. As the crust bakes, I prepare my toppings and check on the crust. Prepare your pizza your way. I'm dicing up red onions, tomatoes, and bell pepper. You can dice up whichever veggies you want or add in whatever meat you want. I show a quick shot of the crust baking by itself to a light brown. Keep a close eye on your crust while you prepare your toppings. Once the crust is ready, prepare your pizza with all your toppings. For the sauce, we are using Prego sauce. The pizza sauce was not as flavorful for me. The fresh mozzarella really brings the pizza together, literally. The meat that we used is chorizo. It is the vegetable version of chorizo. The jalapenos add a nice spice. Once you put all your toppings on your pizza, place your pizza back in the oven for an additional 10 to 12 minutes, or until you think it is done. The vegetables release a lot of juices, so I normally bake the pizza a little bit longer. The pizza was done about 10 minutes after it went into the oven. I show another shot of the pizza baking in the oven. The pizza is done when the crust is golden brown and the cheese is melted. Even if the cheese has golden brown spots, the pizza is still good and ready, not burnt. Let it rest for a few minutes and cut your pizza how you like it. I'm sure you know the rest. I hope you try this pizza dough recipe. It is easy and yummy. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, take care.